If I had to start print on demand from scratch today, no audience, no designs, no store, this is exactly the path that I would take to make real money. This isn't 2018 print on demand advice. This is what works now. This incredibly detailed video has taken months to plan and to make, but I wanted to make sure that I gave you an exact step-by-step of what I would do if I started today. If this goes well, I can make follow-up, even longer, even more detailed videos on how to do print on demand. Now, I have split this video up into 12 sections to make it easier for you to follow. I will go into detail in each section and share with you specific steps that I would take right now if I had to start over again. Before you let people tell you this business model doesn't work anymore, it's oversaturated, blah, blah, blah. That's rubbish. In May and June, we did $47,000 with this business, and that was with less than 15 minutes of work a day on it. We had a baby during that time, and a heck of a lot of other life changes happened during that process. Now, if I would have worked on this business a tiny bit more, maybe 3 to 4 hours a day, we would have passed $100,000 in sales for May and June easily. Now, why am I sharing this? It's not to brag. Honestly, I don't care, but to show you it does all still work in 2025. And if you think it's just me because I have, a ton of experience, it's really not the case. Here's a couple of people from our print on demand community who are absolutely crushing it as well. This business model works. It really does. The question is, why might it not be working for you? And that's what this video is for. But also, this video is just a snippet into the world of print on demand. We cover every single detail with all the templates you could possibly need, the live calls and personalized feedback in our print on demand community. So if you want me to personally help you build a successful print on demand business, well, click the link down below and join the community. Join the 400 plus other incredible sellers doing really well. For now, are you ready? Are you ready to get started? Let's do it. Starting with section 1, mindset. Absolutely no tactic matters if your mindset is broken. In fact, I would argue and say this is where 99% of people fail before they even upload their first design. Let's go over a few key mindset shifts to get you in the right frame of mind for success with this business. Treat this like a business, not like a side hustle. This isn't a get-rich-quick scheme or a trendy business. This is a real brand selling real items to real people. You can forever chase trends or chase the next business idea, but until you focus and put all of your energy into something or into this, you'll forever be chasing a dream. Print on demand can bring all sorts of benefits, such as location freedom, time freedom, and independence, but only if you treat it like a real business. Repetition is key for success in this business. You don't succeed from one best-selling design, one amazing product. It doesn't make a business. You need lots of products. And products in this sense is designs. We're not looking for a one-hit wonder. We're looking to create best-selling designs after best-selling designs. And the people you see succeeding with their businesses don't stumble into it overnight. Even though it may look like that on the outside, a lot of hard work has gone into it. Repetition and iteration had to take place in order to get where they wanted to go. Stop blaming perfectionism. Let perfection go. Done is better than perfect, and you can iterate on a website, a brand, a name, and a design endlessly. And I know I've been there before, but perfection is the momentum killer. So don't let it keep you back. You'll learn a lot more by actually launching 10 designs versus overthinking one. Laser focus on one thing. Everything is noise and distractions. Pick one niche, one traffic method, one offer, and one product. Avoid shiny object syndrome like it's the plague. Should you do Amazon, Etsy, Redbubble, Google ads, TikTok ads, and Facebook ads? No. Sometimes by keeping yourself busy doing lots of things, it feels like you're being productive, but actually you're just massively hindering your progress. Don't focus on 10 things with 10% of your energy. Focus on one thing with 100% of your energy. Expect nothing and you'll always be surprised. Most people quit in their first month, and those that don't usually quit somewhere in month 2. The smart ones though, they don't expect sales and profit in the first month, or even the second or the third. They see the bigger picture and they know they're building a business here, and that can take time. So please don't expect sales, just keep working and you'll very soon experience sales. Stop letting failures dictate your actions. There are no failures, only lessons. Your first 10 designs failing isn't a bad thing, it's 10 lessons on what not to do. Every low click-through rate, bad conversion rate, or failed design is a step forward in the right direction. Just make sure you analyze and improve. Don't fall into the trap of the mindset of, why is this happening to me? Why does nothing work for me? And instead shift and say, what can I learn from this? What is this trying to teach me? Testing is the heartbeat of this business. Mock-ups, colors, ads, designs, website optimizations. The faster that you can test and learn from implementation, the faster you'll win. There's a lot less luck in print on demand now, especially with the Shopify method. This is a really good thing. We don't want to run our business on luck. You need to understand compound growth. It's very common with print on demand. It will feel slow at first, and then it could just explode. And the skills that you build up start to stack up. And don't think in week increments, think months. Section 2. Picking the right path for your budget. You now need to decide what path you want to take, as there's a few options, and these will usually depend on your budget. So the no budget option. If you have no money but time on your hands, you might find it best to start with Amazon's merch on demand or even TeePublic. What I see a lot of people actually do is wait. Save up so they can skip this option entirely, and that's genuinely a very good idea. Maybe you can take on extra hours in your job, or maybe you can find more clients in your service-based business, just for a short period of time whilst you start saving up for this business. That's what I would do if I was starting over. Now, the next one, a small budget. If you have a smaller budget, but still money to invest, well then Etsy could be a good start for you. I would connect Etsy with Printify, and if the budget allows, run some Etsy ads to get extra traction. However, like the no budget option, if it was me and I was starting over from scratch, I would actually pause. I would save up money and skip this option as well. I would skip option 1 and 2. I want to start with the next option as it's by far the best. Okay, the bigger budget option. If you have a bigger budget, let's say $500 to $1,000 saved, then this would be the best option. This is what I would choose. This would be building a niche specific store using Shopify, and then fulfilling orders using Printify, and marketing our website using Facebook ads. This option is the most real, the most future-proof, and has the most potential to grow into something big enough to maybe even sell one day. Now, at all 3 budget levels, learning should always be a priority. Research, building your design libraries, and investing as much time as you possibly can into building this business. And as this video is what I would do if I started over, I would go down the Shopify route every single time. Even if I couldn't afford it, I would wait, I would save up, I would try and get some extra jobs or pull some extra cash together, and I would go down the Shopify route every single time. Like I said, if I had no money, I would pause, I would save for however long it takes. If it's a few months, that's fine. And during that time saving phase, I would research, I would create designs, and I would fully prepare myself for launching my brand. Because the third option might need the biggest budget, but you don't actually have to spend more than maybe $50 until you're ready with all of your research, your designs, and your website up and running. And that alone can take you a month or 2 months or maybe even longer, which could be enough time to save a little bit of extra money that you can then use for advertising. Because with the biggest budget, that's going to be your biggest expense, the ads. The print-on-demand game has changed, and spamming Amazon, Etsy, Redbubble, or TeePublic really doesn't get you much anymore. Amazon, for example, have slashed your margins. Redbubble never had any margins to even begin with. And with Etsy, it's usually a race to the bottom. It's really no surprise that Amazon and Etsy sellers are migrating or flocking over to Shopify faster than a bolt of lightning. They're suddenly worried about the future of their businesses. And the best option to secure that future is with your own store, taking it into your own hands, with your own customers, your own everything. And that's what happens down the Shopify route. Section 3, research and niche selection. Designs don't sell just because they're pretty. They sell because they were intentionally made for someone. So this first stage of research, we need to pick a niche, but don't just pick a niche. Consider who the person is, who your audience is, your avatar. What do they do for fun? What's their sense of humor? What's their relationship to the niche? How much do they love it? There's so much to consider. A good thing to consider is how much someone really cares about the niche. For example, let's say it's fishing. Someone might be passionate about that. It's on their mind all the time. They want to leave work to go fishing. They want people to know that they love fishing. They want to represent that niche with t-shirts. They can't wait and will buy anything remotely related to fishing. That is who you want to target. I'm not saying the fishing niche, but I'm saying that type of person. That is a solid audience and a solid niche. Now, another factor to consider is, could designs in this niche be giftable? Most of the time the answer is yes, but sometimes people go for really obscure options that are, well, they're just very strange. And when deciding on what niche you're going to go for, you need to ensure that there are designs out there that you can use as inspiration. If you're, let's say, really struggling to find any designs, there might be a reason for that. Maybe there's no demand and it's a bad niche. Now, a lot of people, and I'm not kidding here, a lot of people will say, no, it's not a bad niche, it's just an untapped niche. I found a gold mine. Please be careful with this mentality. It's vital to remove all ego with this business model. Data is key. We need to see that there's potential within a niche before going into it. Now, if you really are struggling to come up with a niche, write down all of your hobbies, your favorite hobbies, the hobbies that you don't like, all of your friends' hobbies, all of your siblings' hobbies, all of your family members' hobbies, your cousins, your parents. That will give you a good base to start on, whether it's fishing, music, reading, cooking, hiking. The list is incredibly long. And if you have no hobbies, no friends, no family, then a simple search of the top 10 hobbies on Google could get you started on the right path. Be careful when picking a niche not to form an emotional attachment to it, and by doing that, ignoring the data. If you love a niche but the data is saying it's bad, well, don't go for it. And the same applies the other way around. If you absolutely hate a niche and you're not a fan, but the data is showing it's amazing, I would also argue that you shouldn't go for it either. It's important to enjoy what you do. You're going to spend a lot of time in the niche creating designs and researching the audience. You're going to want to enjoy what you do. Now, once you've shortlisted a few niches and you can see there's quite a lot of design options available to you for any of those niches, it's time you just pick one. And you can do extra things like have a look if you can find competition stores or download an app like Allura to see how many sales specific designs are actually getting in this niche. But you don't have to do that if you don't want to. If you've got a whole load of niches, pick one that you're going to enjoy the most. Now, top tip for you, don't pick a niche that is riddled with copyright designs. For example, the car niche. Whilst it's possible to succeed with this specific niche, it's harder and there are a lot more grey area designs as car silhouettes, car brands, and car associated things tend to be copyrighted. So just bear that in mind. If you want to get your niche validated, that's one of the things that we do in our Design Hub community. We help validate every aspect of the business: niche, design, brand, mockup, and store. And that way you're confident going into each section of this business, and with that extra likelihood of success. Now, if I was starting over and picking a new niche, I would pick something I was more interested in and something that had more uses for t-shirts. Let me give you a little example. When someone goes fishing, they can be wearing their print-on-demand t-shirt that you made whilst they go fishing, right? But when someone plays golf, well, there's already a golf attire that most die-hard fans would stick to, you know, the polo shirt and all that kind of stuff. And that's not to say print-on-demand won't work for golf, but it would be more of like a weekend item or something they wear when they're not at work and they're not playing golf, which probably isn't very much time. Right? Now, I'm not saying golf won't work, but my point here is pick a niche where someone will want to wear it at all times. Another example would be gaming. There are super die-hard fans in this niche, and they could wear t-shirts whilst playing those games or out with their friends. So there's always chances for them to wear their t-shirts. Section 4, design research and creation. This is without a doubt the most important part of the business, and it's the reason we've named our community Design Hub. Yes, we cover everything else within print on demand in there, but no matter what stage you're up to, how much money you are making, designs will always need to be researched and they will always need to be created. It doesn't stop. And I love that because this is also the most enjoyable part of the business, specifically for me. Our goal here is to create best-selling designs. This is not guesswork or personal taste. We're going to research, and I have a specific system that still lets creativity and unique designs come through. But there is a huge amount to consider when making designs. So I'll lay the foundations for you in this video, but we go really deep in our Design Hub community. Our first step in the design creation phase is researching and building up our database of designs. And this is a vital step as we will be referencing this database at every single stage, no matter if you've only got your first sale or if we've got our 10,000th sale. Okay, you're always going to be referencing this. I use Figma for this mood board, and that's because it's free and it's really intuitive for planning. Although the program that you use, it doesn't really matter as long as it's organized and it allows you to categorize designs properly. Now we have to start researching and taking screenshots of good designs. Not just designs in our niche, but designs in any niche. You just want to find lots of different designs. Now, a lot of the time, designs in other niches create the perfect starting point, the perfect foundation for us to use in our own niche. And that's why we use screenshots of lots of different niches. And when finding designs, we can base it on a few things. One would be the number of reviews that they have, and the other would be the number of sales they have. And the third, and this is probably the most common way, would be solely based on the design. Is it good? Does it tick all the boxes? And when it comes to making best-selling designs, a lot of the time a design that has no sales on Etsy or Amazon doesn't mean it's 100% a bad design. It could literally just mean that the algorithm hasn't shared it well. Like with a YouTube video, a YouTube with 500 views doesn't mean it's a bad video. And a YouTube video with 1 million views doesn't mean it's a good video, right? The algorithm has just favored one over the other. And when you're reliant on an algorithm, anything is possible. So don't let your judgment be clouded by the number of reviews or sales a design might have. After doing that exercise on Amazon, Etsy, Google, TeePublic, and maybe even Redbubble, your mood board should be heaving with ideas. The next thing I would do is use an AI tool that we created called the Phrase Genie. And this is using ChatGPT, but with our own customizations that we built based on thousands and thousands of best-selling phrases and designs. And we've been using it for quite a few months now. It's a pretty cool AI tool, and we can actually attribute over $100,000 worth of sales directly to the phrases that we got from this specific Phrase Genie tool in just a few months. Now, with this tool, I would put in our niche and let it come up with phrase ideas. And I just want to add, this Phrase Genie is completely free when you join the Design Hub community. So that's just a cool perk of being in the community. Now our mood board should now have a list of phrases from the Phrase Genie, 200 plus screenshots of designs, and the next thing we would do would be to try and find competition stores. And I don't mean competition on Etsy or Amazon, other brands that made Shopify stores or Wix stores or basically their own website. We want a collection of those websites as well so we can track what others are doing. You know, like what they're doing with their ads, what they're doing with their design, what they're doing with their website optimization. We basically want to keep an eye on the competition. And all of this information goes into the mood board or into the Figma file, however you want to categorize it. And that's why ours looks like this. We have a place for absolutely everything. The next thing we need to do is actually roll up our sleeves and start creating designs. There's a few ways that I would do this. Sometimes I buy ready-made designs, and sometimes I'll make designs from scratch, and then sometimes I'll use AI. I used to only make designs from scratch. I was somewhat of a purist when it came to designs, but I realized I was not being efficient at all. A design could take me an hour, especially if it was a graphic heavy design, and that just wasn't scalable. When buying ready-made designs, the first place I go to is Etsy. I just search for the niche or the idea, and then I put SVG in the search. So for example, fishing t-shirt SVG. And this will show a bunch of digital files that usually are fine to use commercially. You also have other tools to buy ready-made or almost ready-made designs, I should say, such as Creative Fabrica, Vexels, and Creative Market. Out of those three though, I would probably choose Creative Fabrica. However, if I was starting again from scratch today, I probably wouldn't even bother with Creative Fabrica, as I find AI is a much better option if you know how to use it properly. Once I found the graphics or made the graphics, I'll put them together in an app called Affinity Designer 2. It's like Adobe Illustrator, but much cheaper and much easier to get the hang of. We even built a 4-hour training video or training course on how you could master this design tool yourself, and that lives inside the Design Hub community. Definitely go and check that out. There are other tools like Kittle and Canva, but as this video is a video about what I would do if I started over, well, in full transparency, I wouldn't bother with Canva. It's far too basic, and I wouldn't use Kittle as I'm just not a fan anymore. I used to use it a lot, but currently I think it's a bit of a waste of money. When it comes to using AI, I mainly use ChatGPT and sometimes Mystic AI. My go-to though is ChatGPT, and if used right, it is so flipping powerful. When it comes to designing, there's a few principles that you've got to really think about, and I'll cover some of them here in this video. Firstly, always remember the design hierarchy, and that is placement is the most important thing, and then phrase, then graphic, and then font and color. Don't get me wrong. All aspects are very, very important, but thinking of it like this will hopefully help you distinguish between good designs and bad designs. Another few things to bear in mind: humor sells really well. Try and stick to one font. Really don't overcomplicate the design, and if you're not making a vintage sunset style design, then one color is plenty. And this might sound like you're making a boring, basic design, but I can tell you, from 10 plus years of experience, this is what sells. And that's what we care about at the end of the day, getting sales. Now, after making your first 10 or 20 designs, I would recommend seeking some feedback. That's one of the main benefits of our community. We have personalized feedback in our Design Hub, where we go through your designs, we make custom videos speaking directly to you about your design. Because at the end of the day, my goal with this community is to personally help you create a successful business. That is what I want to do, and that's why I think it's the best place on the internet to build a print-on-demand business successfully. So definitely go check it out. The link is down below. Now, once you are on the right track, I recommend creating around 100 designs. This is a long task, okay, and quite rightly so. Don't feel like you need to rush through it, but at the same time, don't obsess over a single design and endlessly tweak it. We see this happen far too often, and it holds so many people back from actually starting their business. So don't do that. Move on to the next design. If you're struggling with creating designs, we've made a bunch of templates and resources in our Design Hub. Templates that help you with placements, with graphics, with fonts, with layouts and resources that we use. What fonts do we use? Font pairings, all sorts of things, the Phrase Genie and other AI tools. There's so much that can be found in the Design Hub that will help you create designs or help you figure out how to make designs without you having to manually create them. Section 5, building a brand and picking a printing partner. Let's start with picking a brand name. Please don't overthink this. I know so many people that dwell on their name for weeks and weeks, and it really doesn't matter. You just want something short and snappy. Remember, if you're selling t-shirts, you can use any of these words along with your niche as a name, such as, fishing threads, fishing tees, hook threads, tackle tees, and endless more. You can see what I'm doing there, threads and tees and all that kind of stuff. A little trick is to use the website namelicks.com. You simply put in your niche, you put in what style you want, I click all, and then you say what you're selling, so t-shirts, and this amazing or wonderful AI will give you a load of names. It's a free tool and it's incredibly useful. When coming up with your name, just try to avoid keyword stuffing. This isn't an Etsy listing, it's your brand name, something short, memorable, easy to say, easy to spell, and like I said, memorable. Now, you can do this extra step, which I usually tell people to skip at the beginning and to work on it kind of down the road. And this is the building a brand identity part of the business. Colors, fonts, your general tone of voice. At the end of the day, you don't just want to be selling t-shirts. You want to be building a long-lasting brand that people will come back to and maybe even talk about. We use Figma to build our brand identities, and it can be a fun exercise, but don't obsess over it. At the beginning, it's almost irrelevant. Your main priority will be designs, sales, and gathering data. During this branding stage, you want to buy the domain name ending in .com, .store, or .shop. It's all okay. We have done all of them. Our current brand ends in .com, and you'll then want the socials, and if that name isn't available on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, you can always add something to the end of the name just for social, such as the word shop or something. So if it's fishingtees.shop, that's okay for Instagram. You'll also want a professional email. Think support@yourbrandname.com. And we use Google for this, although there are many options. We use Google because it's what I'm most used to, and I like the Google storage that you get and all the other things that you get with it, like the calendar and whatnot. And all my other emails are also through Google, so it's just what I'm used to. And finally, with branding, you'll want to make a logo, a good logo, but also keep it simple. You don't want something huge and complicated. I always recommend going for something rectangle and incorporating a name like this, rather than going for a big mark, as it won't look good when displayed on the Shopify website. And that's really it for branding. For sure, we can go into a lot more detail on the hows for each part, but that's a general overview of what you need to consider when it comes to branding. It's a really uncomplicated part of this entire business. For sure, we can go into a lot more details on the hows for each part, but really that's the general overview of what you need to consider when it comes to branding. It's probably the most simple part of this entire process. The next thing to do is pick a printing partner, and I'm going to make this really easy. I'm not going to tell you about 30 different printing partners, their pros and their cons, the t-shirt quality and whatnot. I have made so many videos on that, and in all honesty, it can be confusing which one to pick. So instead, I'm going to simply just tell you exactly who we use and who I would use again if I was starting over. I'm not saying you have to use them, but in my opinion, it makes the most sense. It's, as I said, who I would use if I was starting over. So we use Printify. However, Printify is a partner that has lots of printing partners connected to it, right? It's like the house that has lots of printers in it. So to be more specific, we use SwiftBOD or Monster Digital through Printify. And we have Printify Premium as well, which basically gives us discounts on each order. And this is worth it after getting 14 orders a month, as the discounts outweigh the monthly subscription of having Printify Premium. Now, we use Printify for a few reasons: good prices, fast shipping, good customer service, 80% of the time. There's always a few anomalies. And overall, it's been a good experience. I used to chop and change frequently, and all it ever did was hinder the business. I've now stuck with Printify for nearly 2 years, and it's made a massive difference to the growth of our business. There's not really much more to say with a printing provider. Yes, you can order samples from 50 different companies, and yes, you can forever test the quality and the printing and the shipping speeds, but really, I think it's just a huge distraction from the real work. I actually call it procrastinate work. That's when you feel like you're working, but actually nothing's happening and you're just procrastinating. Hence, procrastinate work. All right, section 6, creating a store. The next thing I would do if I started over would be to use Shopify straight out of the gate. I said this at the very beginning, but I truly think it's the future of print on demand. For so many reasons. So many Amazon and Etsy sellers are making their way over to Shopify because they know it's the future. It's the best long-term platform out there. If you want to go for another build your own website option like Wix and WooCommerce or something like that, for sure. Personally, I wouldn't, because I find the UI of Shopify to be absolutely unmatched by anyone else, and the support is always there. Again, unmatched support. And because it's such a popular platform, there's so much training on it. Yes, it's a little bit more expensive, but it's hardly a big deal in the grand scheme of things once sales start coming in. Plus, at the moment, they do have 3 months for $1 each. I'll put a link to that down below as well. So you could technically be getting more sales to cover the monthly cost before even having to pay for Shopify. It's brilliant. Or before having to pay more than $1, I should say. Again, the link for that deal will be down below. Now that we've established Shopify as the choice of platform, we need to actually create a store. We always go for the free Dawn theme. You don't need to pay for the theme. It's totally not necessary. I've seen so many people pay for a theme and it's just such a waste of money. So please don't do that. We also have a bunch of apps installed, but at the moment, at the beginning, it's not necessary. Okay, we're talking if I started over. Right, and I wouldn't worry so much about all these extra apps at the beginning. I would create a basic store. I would connect it to Printify and Facebook ads, and I'd start running traffic. I wouldn't endlessly tweak the store, the cart, the product page. I would make a very, very basic store that looks like this, right? It just works. It works so well. We've proven that hundreds of times. So as much as you might want to create something totally unique and put in all that extra work and those extra hours to make something that looks really cool, I can tell you it probably won't convert as well as this basic store. Now, there are quite a lot of things to remember when setting up your store, and we've made a checklist and a dashboard for you in the Design Hub so you don't miss anything out. There can be quite a lot of steps, and this is what your store will end up looking like. There's a few key things to remember with this store, and I'll quickly go over them for you now. This is the homepage. Really basic, right? You can see how the logo is rectangle, and that way the menu isn't overly big. Oftentimes people's logos are square, and when you do that, the menu becomes really fat and it just looks awful. This will also stop the first few designs showing up before the fold, so before people have to start scrolling, and it will make the menu just really, really, really big. We have 4 options on the menu: home, shop now, contact, and about us. We don't have endless collections. We don't have irrelevant pages. Everything here is very intentional. And if you think this looks boring and you want something spicier, well, boring sells. Simple as that. Okay, this is really all you need. We've had a few people try it their own way and then come back to this template saying they wish they just started with it to begin with. So don't be that person. Start simple, follow the template and create your store. Stuff like the banner can be different, but still keep it simple. Showcase a couple of your best designs. Have a shop now button. You don't need to put the logo there if you don't want to, as it's already in the top left. And then underneath that banner, have your bestsellers. Have a collection of your bestsellers, right? And that collection will go to your shop now page, right? Where they can see all of your designs. The next page is the shop now page. This is where all of our 100 designs would go. We're not breaking things down into sub niche pages or collections. We're keeping it super simple. We want someone to land on our website and we want to be able to see our entire collection quickly and easily. Providing, of course, that you've stuck to a single niche and your designs are good, having this kind of layout encourages customers or people to buy more than one item at a time, therefore increasing your AOV, which is your average order value. We want more customers to order more items at once because we make more money and it increases the value of our ads. The last vital page on your website is your product page. Again, not an overly complex page. You start with a normal title. You don't need to keyword stuff it like you do on Etsy. And you then have the price, as you can see here. You can charge significantly more on Shopify than you can on Etsy or Amazon. And this ties back to brand value, no competition, and various other things. And then you have the color swatches, the sizes, a bright add to cart button. It's got to be a bright button so that it stands out, and some basic trust badges, and then a few drop downs with information. And then underneath that, you have customers also bought. Once again, promoting the idea of buying more than one item. We want people to buy as many items in one go as possible. It gives us more leverage with our ad spend. And that's our website, or at least that's what the front end looks like. The back end, the bit that sets all of this up and makes this work, is a little bit more complicated, but that's where the dashboard that we built in the Design Hub comes into play, and you can follow along. We have a full step-by-step in the Design Hub, as well as a full course showing you how to set up your Shopify store should you need further help with the setup. Section 7, running traffic with Facebook ads. Why Facebook ads? Why not TikTok or Google or just organic traffic? Honestly, you should do what is best for you. I use Facebook, and if I was starting over again today, I would still use Facebook ads. I find it to be the most effective for this business. It's cheap enough to allow us to be profitable, and simply it just works. With Facebook ads, we can test quickly and iterate quickly. We get huge amounts of data we can then use to create more designs or scale ads that are working. Once you have a winning design, scaling is quite straightforward. So this Facebook ad journey starts with a simple mock-up, or a few simple mock-ups, I should say. And the reason for that is we don't know which mock-up will perform best. We want cheap cost per click, CPCs, because the lower the CPC, the more website visitors that we can get for less money, right? Which means we can make more money. So after creating a Facebook business ads account, we want our first ad to simply be a mock-up test. This has been the best mock-up for us with a Facebook ad, but every niche and every audience might respond differently to different mock-ups. So please don't take this as a science. It came from a lot of testing. Over 96 mock-ups were tested to find it. So please test. Start with a simple test of 4 to 8 mock-ups, and it can take a few weeks to find a winner. We're looking for a cost per click under $1. And if you can get to 50 cents, that is the dream. That is the end goal. And I'd recommend running your test from Thursday to Sunday, or Thursday to Sunday night. And that way you're running it over a weekend when most people are online. And once you identified a mock-up winner, you would then update all the mock-ups on your website to reflect that winner, then head back to Facebook and create your first catalog ad. And that's where Facebook rotates through all of your designs on your website or on your store automatically and advertise them. These are really great because they give you a good amount of data on your entire catalog of designs without having to spend a fortune on advertising every single individual design. And it also just saves you a huge amount of time setting up one ad versus setting up 100 ads. There'll be way more in-depth Facebook tutorials in separate videos currently on my channel and future videos coming to my channel, as it's quite a large topic. For now, the important thing to note is if I was starting over today, I would 100% use Facebook ads as my traffic source every single time. Please just be really careful. Test with tiny budgets and don't be afraid to pause an ad. Test over the weekend and be completely comfortable pausing it on Monday and analyzing that data. Section 8, email marketing. One of the best parts about creating a brand with print on demand through Shopify is you can build an email base, a full email list. You can have prospects on your email list, buyers on your email list, and it's almost free traffic. With new product releases or new anything, sales can just come in with one email announcement. All of these emails can technically be free sales as you don't need to pay Facebook for advertising. Your email list can start small, or it will start small, but it will grow rapidly with the right things in place. So the first thing to have in place that will allow your email to grow rapidly is a pop-up on your website. When someone comes to your website, pop-ups are important. We get people's emails, we have a pop-up and we offer 15% off their first order if they put their email in. And it's really allowed us to grow our prospect email list. Prospects are people that haven't yet bought. We use a tool called Klaviyo. It integrates really nicely with Shopify, and although it can seem a little bit confusing to set up, once you get the hang of it, it's really not bad. The goal is to set up various automated flows, such as cart abandonment flows, a welcome flow, post-purchase flows. These all help bring customers back, either to buy their first items or to buy another item. A key point to remember, you're not growing an email list endlessly to spam them. You're building a relationship here. These emails are important. You don't want people to mass unsubscribe because of the endless spam. So treat them like real people and it will go a long way. So if I was starting today, I would make email a priority. I would have a basic pop-up on my website set up before I run any traffic to my website, as this way I'm not missing out on any potential leads that I could get. I used to tell people to set up emails after they were getting sales and found some winners, as emails weren't a priority. And whilst I very much still don't think you should obsess over emails, at least at the beginning, I think at a bare minimum, having the pop-up set up and ready to go is a great idea because it allows you to build a whole group of prospect customers. Section 9, scaling and optimizing. If I was starting over today, I wouldn't try and jump the gun with this. The amount of people that I see tweaking their website based on nothing but a hunch is crazy. I was speaking to one person who was telling me about some changes that they were doing to their website, and it sounded really interesting until I asked them what their traffic numbers were. And they said, well, I haven't actually started with traffic yet. I was trying to kind of like tweak my website and make it perfect. And this really baffled me, because how can you test a change and optimize a website when you don't have traffic coming in? Without the traffic, there's no conversion data. The way optimizing works is you get a lot of traffic or some traffic coming to your website, you make a small change and you leave it for a few days. And whilst that traffic is coming in, you're able to see if that traffic is making any improvements to your metrics, to your conversion rate or whatever it may be, in a positive or a negative way. Or maybe it just made no difference at all. If you're not running traffic, but you're trying to optimize, you're wasting your time, because what are you optimizing? You don't know what you're trying to improve without the data. The same goes for ads. Don't start scaling an ad until the data shows it's ready. You want consistent sales over a few days. You want a consistently good ROAS, which is the return on ad spend, before you start making changes or adding budget. Now, if you're getting no sales, it's most likely not the ad, but the design that is the issue. If you're getting a super high cost per click, again, don't blame the ad. It's usually a mock-up or a design issue. And if you're getting lots of clicks but no conversions on your website, it could be a design or website issue. Do you see how all three major issues were part design? Design is always the first thing to look at when something isn't performing. So back to scaling and optimization. If I started over again today, I would do this after crossing $10,000 in sales. Quite a large number, I know, but very, very achievable with this business model. A few of the things I would do is raise the budget on winning ads slowly. I would double down on designs that are working well. I would make more ads with them. It's easy to create a new ad with a budget of $20 than to slowly scale an existing ad from $20 a day to $26 a day and so on. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, but you could do both simultaneously. Scaling with more ads is a good tactic as well, and a good way to spend more money and get more traffic to your website faster, which obviously gives you more data and hopefully more sales. And most importantly, when it comes to scaling, don't let emotions get in the way. It needs to be 100% data driven, and you need to be on top of your metrics. Don't ignore them or let your gut make your decisions when it comes to spending more on ads or making a website change. Please trust the data. Most people aren't up to this stage, even if they think they are. Funnily enough, most people are actually still on the designing stage, even if they don't know it. So don't rush into this. Take your time. If you found winners, you've crossed 10K in sales, then entering this scaling stage is the right thing to be doing. Section 10, an exact checklist for you. I wanted to give you something actionable from this video besides the obvious actions of implementing everything I've said already. Checking out the design hub and doing everything that I've basically said in this video, right? Here's a checklist for you that you can stick to when getting started. This schedule is exactly what I would do if I were starting over again today. 1, research 20 best-selling designs and add to your mood board. 2, remake 10 of them using AI, Affinity, or hand-drawn. 3, join the design hub for feedback on those designs and direction for the next steps. 4, build a brand and connect it to Printify. 5, set up my Shopify store and upload the first 10 designs. 6, back to research and design. 7, upload 100 designs to the Shopify store. 8, set up the welcome email pop-up on the website. 9, create the first mockup. 10, test your ads. 11, finalize mockups. 12, update the website. 13, create catalog ads. 14, analyze the data daily. 15, more research and designs based on data. 16, create ads based on best performing designs. 17, create remaining email flows. 18, have you passed 10K in sales? Well, in that case, start scaling and optimizing. 19, back to designs. And 20, well, designs never end, so just keep designing. Section 11, back to designs. No matter what stage you're at, whether you're just getting your first $1 in sales or your first $1 million in sales, you need to constantly be researching and designing. Hopefully, after getting some sales, you'll be able to use your own designs and your own data as your research of what to do next. This is why I created a focused community around designs. Sure, we cover other stuff, but a lot of it is on designs. We have design live calls, the design teardowns. All of this helps people at any stage make best-selling designs. And again, we do cover every aspect that is very, very important. But that is the key difference. A design that sells is not a best-selling design. We want to prioritize making best-selling designs that sell a lot. And that is how we're going to take this business to the stratosphere. So if you ever think you're done with designs or you know everything, that's going to be your biggest mistake, because there is always more to learn, always more to test, and always more to experience. The only endpoint where we can stop designing or researching is when we sell the business. Section 12, your next steps. So now what? You're starting over, what do you do? Well, you have that checklist that I just went through above, and as well as that, you've got this entire video. You can follow it down to a T. But if you want to skip the noise and streamline the whole process that I've just shown you in this video, and you want to be able to create designs and make best sellers, then I really highly encourage you to check out my community, where I am committed to help you create a successful print-on-demand brand. The link will be down below, and that's what I will be able to help you personally with your store, your brand, your niche, every element to help you succeed with this business. So yeah, check the link out below, check the community out below with that link.